Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing this album. It is The Who's A Quick One. So this celebrates its 50th birthday today, so that's why I am reviewing it today. So yeah, released 50 years ago today on the 9th of December in 1966. This was The Who's second studio album, and by this point in time they were probably one of the biggest bands in the UK. They had many hit singles in 1965, and in 1966 they put out many non-album singles as well. They recently signed to a new label called Reaction Records, and part of this deal meant that every member of the band had to contribute songs towards the new album, which made this album out of The Who's output the least dominated by Pete Townshend's songwriting. The album was a success, reaching number 4 in the UK. However, in America, it was released slightly differently. The album was called Happy Jack there, after one of the singles, and that album would only reach number 54 there. So not a great performance. But let's be honest with you, The Who, they wouldn't really become mega stars over in America until sort of the Tommy time, I think about 3 years after this. I'm now just going to show you my vinyl copy. This is a reissue of it, but I think it's from 2004 or something like that. I bought it used for about, I think it was about £9 a paper, so I was quite pleased to get this one here. Yeah, here is the cover, and I must say I quite like the cover. I know a lot of people really dislike this cover, but I think that it it really sums up the pop art swinging London scene, and that really colourful, very bold colours, and that designed by a guy called Alan Aldridge. The cover there's the back of it there. Not a biggest fan off the back. It's a little bit cheap, just the Who written over the faces and that, but it's basic. And then no gatefold or anything like that. Just a basic inner sleeve of this one, and this is what the label looks like on this copy here. This one is on Polydor, but as I said, the original copies were on this new label called Reaction Records. I'm now just going to go over each of the album's songs. I will score each of the tracks out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us an overall percentage mark for the album. So we open up with the song Run Run Run, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to. I think this is a good song. I mean, it's nothing too special, lyrically, or musically. It's very typical Who, you got the high harmonies and that on it, along with a really aggressive driving music to it. But despite it being very typical Who, that is by no means a bad thing. It is a really good song, but they're not really moving forward stylistically with this track. It's very similar to the stuff on the debut album for me. Next track is called Boris The Spider, which is one of 2 John Entwistle numbers for the album. This was the first song where I believe he contributed to The Who, and it's probably one of the most popular ones he'd done with them. It's just a really strange, wacky song. I mean, the name Boris The Spider, apparently I read that it was when he was out drinking with Bill Wyman from the Stones, that they were thinking of these funny names and that for different animals and stuff, and Boris The Spider must have just came off and then he wrote the song around it. Yeah, it is a strange track, it has to be said. We've got these really low grumbly vocals in it, and it somewhat works. It is a popular choice, but for me it is just a novelty song though. It's not a proper track, and definitely if I wanted to show someone, this is The Who, you've got to check them out, they're amazing, this wouldn't be one of the songs that I would do it with. So unfortunately it's a 6 out of 10 for Boris The Spider. The track in is the Keith Moon song, or one of 2 Keith Moon songs. This is called I Need You, and I quite like this one. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, And like apparently like the vocals like on this one, like I think it is Keith who's singing them, like they do sound like a little bit strange, like I do think that it is Keith who's like singing this one, but like I read that on this one like he was trying like to imitate like John Lennon like about like how like he sings, but I really can't hear it too much. Like I think like it was like John Entwistle, like you said, that like he was like trying like to sort of sing like Lennon does. I mean like it's like a okay song, like nothing too special, like a good like first attempt for like Keith Moon's like songwriting. He wouldn't contribute many to like the Who's catalogue, but this is like one of them, and like it is like a good decent enough track, like a good first attempt.
Whiskey man's my friend, he's with me nearly all.
The next track is called Whiskey Man, which is another 7 out of 10 and like another John Entwistle written number. And like I do prefer this one to Boris The Spider, like it's a bit more like conventional, a little bit more like conventional lyrically and like musically. It's just not all that memorable like off like a song, like it's a little bit forgettable. Like I'm just trying like again like to remember like how it goes, but like it really like it isn't coming to me, this one. But like from like my notes and that, like I've got that like I like preferred it like to Boris The Spider. I think it's got like better lyrics, just like a better like overall sound, and I think it is just like a better song. So yeah, a 7 out of 10 for Whiskey Man.
Whenever I'm with you, something inside.
We then have a cover of like the song Heatwave, originally done by Moth Reeves and the Vandellas. I think this is a great song. Like I mean, like I think like I reviewed it on like the Jams album Setting Suns. This is like the last song like on that album. I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10 there, just because like it sounds like a little bit better, that version. This one here like sounds very sort of muffled, very sort of like badly recorded, this one, like has to be said. Yeah, like in some ways it is like a throwback to like the last album, what was very sort of like a lot of like R&B covers on that one. Like I think it like works well here, like they do like a good version of it like the Who, so yeah, I will like give it this one. That Heatwave does work like on like the album for me. Closing side 2, we have the second Keith Moon track, a song called Cobwebs And Strange, which I'm giving a 1 out of 10 to. This is basically like an unlistable mix of sort of, you've got a lot of drums in it, a lot of various like winged instruments, lots of like, I think like there's kazoos on it, like different brass and all that. It really lacks like any melody, like any structure. It's just like, it's about 3 minutes, but like you could be like forgiven for thinking that like it's going on for about 5 minutes. It's just really poor. Should have been like a B-side, like frankly, like I don't think that like it's even like good enough for that, really. I mean, and like just thinking that they had so many other better songs like Substitute, I'm a Boy, Disguises, and that what they could have put on like instead of this one. Yeah, like it's sort of like a bold move. I mean, like to put like something as like silly and like as stupid as this on like one of like their albums, but unfortunately it just doesn't work for me. Really a waste of time, this track.
Got to stay, don't look away.
Thankfully though, side 2 is like a lot better than side 1 in my opinion. Opens up with Don't Look Away, which is a Pete Townsend pen number. Like he only got like one song on like the first side, but like he wrote was a little bit like daft. But like we do get 3 Pete Townsend numbers on like the second side. First one here is Don't Look Away, which I really like. Really think this is an underrated track, giving it a 9 out of 10. I like really like the rhythmic changes like throughout the song. We've sort of got like slightly faster verses, so like a slower chorus, really nice harmonies on this track again. I just really like it, think it is an underrated track.
Someday, I'll find a way to make you see.
The next one is Roger Daltrey's contribution to the album, a song called See My Way, which I'm giving a 8 out of 10 to. Now I quite like this one. It's sort of got like a Buddy Holly and like the cricket sort of sound, just in like the drum sound, like it's quite like restrained and like that sort of thing, like quite like quiet sound to it. But I really like it though. Like I think it is like a great first attempt at songwriting from like Roger. Really works well. Like I think like the melody is like pretty good like on this song. Yeah, like overall it is a pretty good track, See My Way. And we have probably my second favourite from the album, So Sad About Us. I love this song, really is a fantastic track, a 10 out of 10 for me. A really tight song, a little bit basic lyrically, just sort of like about like the end of like a relationship, but the music is just so good, from like the opening riff to like where like the band comes in. We've got like the great vocals, what like they all put in like really nice harmonies on it again. Just like a great performance, and like it is like a popular song like from the album. Like I think like this is like one of like the Who's like most covered songs like I read, and yeah, it is a brilliant track, really fantastic song. So Sad About Us. And then to close the album, we have what is definitely like the centerpiece for the album, A Quick One While He's Away, which I'm giving a 10 out of 10 to. This is a really interesting track, really fantastic song. Like it came about like where like they needed like a couple of like extra tunes like for the album. Like I think like without this song, like it was coming in like at like about 25 minutes, so they needed like a couple more tracks. But Pete Townsend like really like he like I don't think that like he wanted like to just put on like a couple more songs. So their producer Kit Lambert suggested that he write like a couple of like little songs and like join them up to make like sort of like a larger sort of story thing. So that's what he done, and like this is quite a successful song, like I have to say. I mean, like it does like it is quite like a like ambitious piece, very much like precursor like to Tommy. Like I think like Pete Townsend like refers to this one like as like Tommy's father, like or something like that. So yeah, and like it adds like a lot like great like charm to it like as well. It is quite like amateurish like in like some ways. One big song like where like they're saying cello cello cello, and because like they couldn't like actually get like Rio cellos on like the track and probably because like the record company like couldn't like afford it, and that's so, like they sing it and that, and like we've got like some slightly like sloppy edits between like the songs, but I think this all just adds to the charm of this song. Like it's quite ambitious but very raw at the same time, which I quite like. And like it is like ahead of its time as well, doing like these medleys like of like songs and like combining like little songs, like multi-stage songs that go through like different stages and that, and like this is about like a 10-minute track, and like no one was doing 10-minute tracks like around this time, probably with the exception of like Bob Dylan, but his were more sort of like longer songs, like longer verses, sort of like big like story songs, but really like not deviating from like the same sort of structure. Whereas here like we've got a lot of different tunes. I think there's about 6 different segments what make up this track, and it is just a brilliant piece of music this. And like yeah, like a great live song like as well. Like they do like a great version of like a thing called, I think it's called Rock and Roll Circus from 1968. They do a cracking performance of Who. So yeah, fantastic song, A Quick One While He's Away. But overall, I am giving this album 72%. I think this is a pretty good album, like it has to be said. I mean, Pete Townsend's songwriting was like becoming like a lot more serious and like a little bit more like interesting lyrically, and like different like new like ideas were being like explored, especially on like A Quick One While He's Away. And like in like saying that though, like I mean, like I don't think that there is enough like Townsend on this album. Like I think it is flawed because of like the contract having to have like each of like the members contributing songs. It means that we do get like some slightly dodgy compositions from like Entwistle and like Keith Moon as well. And like yeah, like it is like a little bit frustrating because in like 1966 the Who had more than enough material to like almost put out 2 albums if like they wanted. I mean, like they could have just made like one great album. Like I've got this box set here, but like, I only got this yesterday actually. It's on like the reaction singles, all of like their 1966 singles, and there's the back of it there. So we've got songs like Substitute, that would have been a killer track for this album. Same with like I'm a Boy, and like In the City is like an underrated B-side. Happy Jack was actually on like the US version of the album. And then like all the ones like Disguises and like Circles and that. There's some great songs that like they could have like put on this album, but like unfortunately like either chose not to or like couldn't because like the contract like wouldn't let them. Like it was a little bit daft. But it is an interesting album though. Certainly like they are like progressing, they are moving forward, developing like ideas, like sort of like I don't want to say like moving like away from like their mod roots, but they are certainly becoming like a lot more poppy, a lot more like experimental and like interesting in like the studio like around this time, albeit though with mixed results. So yeah, that's just come to the end of this album review. Like I would like to know what you think of this album down below in the comment section, and yeah, if I have like any requests for future album reviews, also do leave them, and I will see you all next time for the next review. Goodbye.